Hanna Harris from the Finnish Institute in London. What do we have on the agenda for today?
Today we are creating a setting where designers are offered background information about the foreign contexts where they are going when they're taking part in international trade fair shows, exhibitions, all kinds of projects. At the moment we have a fantastic active design scene in Finland, really visible internationally in several places at the moment. There are intensive festival situations where people go, and it's at the same time it's really important that people individually understand more about themselves, why they want to go abroad, what do they want to achieve, how they might be able to do that. So they're kind of personal skills, but on the other hand, what are those contexts where they are going? So against that backdrop, Design Forum Finland, who is coordinating this event and taking the agenda further, has been working with people like us, the Finnish Institute in London, who then are out there in the field producing projects to develop a program really for training people.
Now, given Camron PR's global clientele, I believe you have a perspective which many designers and undiscovered and aspiring brands would greatly benefit from. What would you recommend them for their success story, to how to start building it?
I would suggest that their campaign is really targeted, and that designers and manufacturers think carefully about where they want to be and in which publications. I would suggest that they look carefully at the target countries, get to know those press extremely well, buy those magazines and papers and colour supplements, pour through them and think, where can I realistically be? Where do I want to be? Who's writing those stories? And when will I need to get information to them in order for something to appear?
Chiyuki Komuro, you've worked closely with sales, marketing and advertising of luxury and high-end brands, even both in Europe as well as in Japan. Going international often means breaking boundaries and established ways of thinking. What do you see as the single biggest challenge for adapting to a new target audience?
The most important thing is communication. In order to communicate better, understanding each other, I try to learn about the other culture. For instance, if I work with Finnish people, I try to learn what the Finnish culture is, not by learning language or anything, which takes time, but I will try to learn how they think and how they communicate by trying to create an opportunity to meet each other.
Excellent. Chiyuki Komuro, thank you for your time. William Knight, you're the executive producer of London Design Festival, and London is World Creative Capital. What is your view on Helsinki, the World Design Capital of 2012?
We were really pleased to see that Helsinki is the World Design Capital for 2012. I think that it's an emerging initiative which will grow in strength. Helsinki is probably going to be the most successful of the capitals so far. We in London look forward to working with Helsinki and also to create links between the London Design Festival, the World Design Capital, and also Helsinki Design Week as well. There are lots of similarities, and I think that Helsinki next year will be one of the key places to go for design activity across the world.
Excellent. And mentioning similarities and differences, how do you see Helsinki Design District compared to other European equivalents?
Helsinki Design District is a really interesting initiative. There's clearly an enormous amount of support for it in the city. Things like the official tourist website having the design district as one of the first things that comes up looking for information about the city is quite unique. London has specific destinations within the city that we like to think of as design destinations, but none of them as defined and well organised as Helsinki Design District. I think that it's a really key feature of the city and one which will really help next year as the world comes to Helsinki for design.
Thank you, William. We look forward to seeing you at London Design Festival in September 2011. Mike Klyszeiko from KOOL&co. You live and breathe Helsinki nowadays. What advice would you give to those who want to enter the highly competitive US business environment?
Well, it's good that you mentioned the fact that the business environment in the US is highly competitive. So that's a good starting point where Finnish companies need to understand this and appreciate that. A good starting point is doing some planning and determining what your strategies and objectives are for entering the US market. And looking at the U.S. market and defining where your market is, where your product or service has the best potential to be sold to the customer there, because the U.S. is highly competitive. It's a very large, diverse market. So a Finnish company with limited resources, limited capital, limited personnel, it's in their best interest to go through that analysis before going to the U.S. so they know where their time and energy and capital is going to be most efficiently used.